I'm Jonathan Turpin. I'm a principal with the AIM Group. You've probably never ever heard of the AIM Group. We are the leading business intelligence service for marketplaces, and we specialize in covering automotive marketplaces. So I know a little bit about dealers, a little bit about leads and lead intelligence, but a lot about marketplaces. Why am I here today? We have a fantastic panel, all C-level from some of the leading marketplaces across Europe. Collectively, they represent 12 number one marketplaces globally, which is a phenomenal count, and a number of number twos as well. And we'll get to them in about 10 minutes' time, and I'll get them to introduce themselves when they come up. But before we get to that, we've got a little bit of an introductory presentation from Paul de Vries. I'm sure many of you will know Paul already. He comes with two different hats, a marketplace hat and a dealer hat. But I'm going to let him introduce himself properly, and we, the panel as a whole, will be back in 10 minutes' time. So, thank you.
Well, thank you, Jonathan, and thank you all for being here. It's my pleasure, my honor to present at this stage for the third time now. And I'm really honored that I can lay down the foundation for this panel coming up. Because we are going to talk about one of my biggest passions, and that's the online automotive as a whole, and online leads especially. And what Jonathan was saying, that I wear different hats, that's correct. I'm a proud ambassador of Marktplaats and Tweedehands in Belgium and the Netherlands. But for sure, I'm also an entrepreneur in the online automotive space with multiple companies to help dealers and OEMs in that space about lead handling. But the one thing I'm most proud of is that I'm also a dealer, an independent dealer and a dealer of microcars. So I want to be that, for example, that personal trainer which is not 15 pounds too heavy. I want to be in the space helping dealers, helping OEMs to doing the same stuff they are doing on an everyday basis. So that's what I'm going to talk about for a short 9 minutes. And for sure, as a dealer, if you want to win offline, you have to win online first. And that's an easy to say, but it's actually very important because online is not something I grew up with either. I'm 53 years old and I sold my first car online in '98, when we actually can shut off the internet by turning off the fax modem. So that's my era. And a lot of things changed, but a lot of things didn't change. You have to be successful online before you can ever be successful offline. And I had that experience last Saturday, last Sunday at my own dealership, following up leads, having an appointment set on the Sunday morning because I had nothing to do either. And I just sold the car in 12 hours after submitting a lead. Speed is important. Winning online first is important to actually sell that car offline. Because people are still buying from people. They are not buying from AI, they are not buying from the website, they are still buying from the dealership. And that's why it's important. So the question AJ was asking me, from a dealer perspective, why should dealers advertising on car portals in the first place? And that's actually an easy question to answer from a dealer perspective. Because if you see the third-party websites, the car portals, as an enemy that will not get you there. They have the marketplace, they have the eyeballs, they have the visitors. People searching for cars. I want to be in that space. I'm not very emotional about it. I want to win. I want to sell cars. That's why I need marketplaces for sure. So I will advertise my car on every major car portal in the Netherlands. And we actually have 4. So I have to spend money on 4 of those. But I'm not doing that for the leads. Because 50% of my sales were not leads. They are just walk-ins. But people are not just walking in. Something triggered them to walk in that store. Something did. And the best measurement to see that is how many VDP pages I will turn. vehicle detail pages. So I'm in the vehicle detail pages business. So if people are searching for cars and are on the search result page and clicking on my car on a third-party website, then I'm a winner. Because if you spend time in a dealership and actually talk to customers and ask them, hey, you didn't send an email, you didn't submit a lead, and you can say anything about leads, but there's actually a starting point of a dialogue or an answer not given on the website. They say, I saw your inventory on the marketplace, on mobile, for example, and here I am. So that's important. So if you see that the VDP page is the most efficient buy on the marketplace, and I can show you the statistics behind it at my dealership for sure. So this is one of those advertising I do. On the left, you see marketplace, that's my cars, and actually you see the picture on the opposite. The picture is looking at the text instead of outside of the text, which most people are doing wrong. And on the other side, I'm using Google, the Google vehicle listing ads. Because my ego, I want to have visitors on my website, because as a dealer perspective, my website is the most important thing. But it is not. I want to turn VDP pages. I don't want to have visitors only on my website. Because my website can never be that good than a third-party website and can be with all their investigation data, where to put the call to action button, and they trust an trusted marketplace. So I put my cars also on Google to go to my own website. And what happened then is that you can see what return on investment is. So this is Dutch numbers. So this is my dealership in the month of August. So don't compare it with Germany. This is my data. And you will see here, I'm getting 3,900 clicks, visitors to my website. On average, they are 1.2 pages. So you can do the math. I have 31,000 VDP views on Marktplaats. Yes, there are banners on Marktplaats. Yes, I'm competing with other people. Yes. But I have 31,000 VDP views on Marktplaats. And then on Autoscout, 2,953. Be honest, I have all the turbos I'm getting from Marktplaats on my inventory, and I don't buy them from Autoscout. But if you see the cost per VDP view, you will see this. The cost per VDP view is 20 cents on my dealership, and it's only 3 cents on Marktplaats. So it's a very efficient way to turn the VDPs, because if I know that 50% of those are just walk-ins, then leads are not a KPI to measure on. Because if I want leads, for example, I will turn to Facebook, and I'm getting a lot of leads for a cost per lead of about €1, €2, which are actually horrible. So I don't want only leads, I want qualified leads, I want qualified visitors, qualified VDP views, where I actually can see what happened in those VDP views. So if Mobile can do in the coming months to give you data, what they're actually searching, that is so valuable indeed. So it's a big difference in those VDP views. On the other hand, what are you actually doing with those leads? Because that's important. And the 4 traits of the consumer are always, we have always an iPhone. Yeah? We are always reachable. But if you are calling the lead after 3 hours, they are walking the dog. We have no patience whatsoever. So if you're sending a WhatsApp to your wife, to your husband, to your children, where you need the answer and you're not getting the answer in 10 seconds, you are annoyed. So people want that speed. And also gives little information, funny names like Mickey Mouse or Max Verstappen or whatever. There are people just saying, I want to communicate with you, but not with my data. So we have to think about that. So at my store, this is our lead process. The lead is coming in, and we will call in 30 seconds, from a 9 o'clock window till a 9 o'clock in the evening window. We will send out a text, we will send out an email, we will send out on WhatsApp. in 1 minute. After they don't pick up the phone, we will call in 2 minutes. We will call in 5 minutes. The second day, the third day, we will do that same again. Because a lead is not free. There's something behind it, and I want to control that process, and I want to speak to those consumers. Because AJ was saying that as well in his opening statement, speed will sell you the dialogue. If I happen to call that consumer within 1 minute, and 75% chance that I'm getting the lead in contact. The dialogue will sell the appointment. The appointment will sell the car. The lead will never sell the car. The dialogue will sell the appointment, and the appointment will sell the car. So, and of course, we are using AI as well. So in the long-term follow-up, we will do the AI consciously to message the consumer. But if they reply, we always have a sales agent back again in that conversation. So it is never about the quality of the lead. Never. I always speak to salespeople and they are saying the quality of the lead is bad. But there's only a bad quality process behind it. Because somebody in a 2026 world submitting a lead, which is a starting point of a dialogue, is in the market. It can be tomorrow, it can be in next week, it can be 3 months, but only a process will do that. So I hope it is valuable for you, 9 minutes only, but if there is any questions whatsoever, I'm happy to answer that, and I want Jonathan on the stage with me as well. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Ooh, not a question. Ooh. No hands, nothing? So, question from me. I mean, your dealership.
Yes.
You know, putting your own sort of message into practice.
Yeah.
What kind of level of lead conversion, lead generation do you achieve? And so how do you rank against others?
So in 2025, we are now averaging 22%.
Yeah.
So from the 100 leads, we will sell to 22 cars. So the marketing spend has a positive return on investment.
Yeah.
If you have 13% or less, it is never about the quality of the lead. Never. There's always the process.
And that 22, that's about a 1 in 5. And yeah. I think generally the statistics, I don't know if it's the same in Germany, we'll ask Ajay in a minute, are about 1 in 7, 1 in 8 of conversion
under 10%.
Yeah.
But I see it, I'm losing 78. I'm losing 78. That's a big number. So it has to change.
Well, let's explore that a little further. But first of all, let's welcome on stage the rest of our panel. Paul, please take a seat as well. Come on board, and then we'll get them to introduce themselves. It's always worrying when they start sitting as far away from you as possible, but... so we'll skip Paul as he's done the intro, and maybe Ian, you could kick off with a quick intro of yourself and company, and then we'll come along this way.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Ian Plummer. I am Chief Commercial Officer at Autotrader in the UK. If you don't know Autotrader in the UK, we're very similar to Mobile, a large player in our market. 3/4 of the minutes spent on any marketplace in the UK are spent on Autotrader. 5 times more searches than Google for automotive in UK, not for Google altogether, and a lot more time, 40-odd times more time spent on our site than the sum of all the manufacturer sites. So we're lucky to have a strong position in the UK, and our focus is always on driving change together, responsibly. That's our purpose, and that's what we try to do to support all of our retailer partners, driving leads and value into their businesses.
Yeah, David Hoffman, working for Vend marketplaces, formerly known as Schibsted. We own the leading marketplaces in the Nordics. Concretely, it's Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. And our markets are characterized by high EV penetration, high digital trust. So I hope we talk about this as well a bit later.
Hi, everyone. AJ. I work for a business called Mobile.de. You might have heard of it. But yeah, in all seriousness, look, I've been in this industry since 2003. And so pretty much this is the industry I have experience in, and I've been working with dealers ever since 2003 and working in online since that day too. So that's me.
Christian Gysi, I'm the CEO of OLX. OLX is the market leader in Central Eastern Europe, Portugal, and South Africa. for cars, real estate, and many other things. And happy to be here and sitting next to this gentleman that will give you a certain deep insight into what our market is.
Brilliant. Thank you all. Welcome. So I'm going to start off with a question to Ian. We're going to go for basics first and go right back to kind of basic principles on leads. So, you know, in the old days, we used to think of a lead as a phone call or an email, but there are many more channels now. What do you see as the most important ones, and what are the best ways to optimize them?
Well, the most important channels in terms of lead generation today are email and phone calls, to be honest. There are lots of options for text and chat, WhatsApp, and so on, but they're much smaller. The biggest form of lead, in all honesty, though, in the UK market, when we research it, is the walk-in, which is pretty tricky because they're not a lead, obviously. By definition, you don't know who they are. The challenge there, therefore, is to make sure that you don't start the journey all over again, because that consumer that's walking in does know the car that they've come to inquire about, does know about your business, does not want to start all over again, re-qualify themselves in your systems and so on. So that is a big change. We see about 60% of people in the UK for a used car and about 50% for a new car make their first contact with the dealer when they walk through the door. So they aren't in your showroom management system already. They have, in the vast majority of cases, been on a platform like ours or a Mobile or a Schibsted and so on, because they use those places for a good opportunity to compare the market, to find the choice that they won't find in an individual retailer or a brand website. So they are known. In our case, we can work out the link between the zip code they put in their search and the sales data with the buyer at the end of it and join the things up. We can come back maybe to how we can improve the buying insights, as we call them, around knowing what those buyers are, what they've been looking at, what their propensity is to buy. But the main things, to come back to your question, Jonathan, that I think are important to bear in mind to optimize leads of any sort is your advert quality. Now, we provide obviously a lot of metrics, as I'm sure my peers do here, around what we call things like the retail rating of a car, which is the basic supply and demand metrics of a car in a given local area. What's its balance of local demand, local supply? The higher the demand, the lower the supply, the higher the retail rating. That means that's a great car. Optimize your pricing position on that. Then there's the pricing data. You need to be in the market. If pricing is a base 100, there's no point being at 110. Our price flag will show you as being an expensive car to the buyer. They won't buy your car. If you're at 95, you'll look cheap, and people will think that's weird. You want to be in the middle. That's the sweet spot. Slightly higher than the middle if you've got a high retail rating car, etc. All these things and many other points around the merchandising quality, the advert quality, just the basics like imagery, videos, text copy. We help retailers with AI solutions for the text copy and the imagery sort of sorting. So all of those things make for a better ad copy, and it is that which is going to make you, as a consumer, more inclined to buy. The last thing I just leave you with as a thought is, I think, is people in the industry. I've worked in the car industry for a long time. The car brands, I ran a retailer group. We often don't buy cars as consumers would do. So we don't see it how they do. So imagine when you go onto booking.com this weekend to go and plan your next holiday, a weekend away with your wife, with your partner, you will be engaged more in the hotels that have great imagery, that look like they're really nice places as well, of course, than the places that don't have good imagery. So it's the same with a car, and it's a pretty basic point, but our heads are turned by things that look nice and that look like they're well priced and have good reviews, sold by people who you can trust. And it's all of those basics which will fundamentally drive lead volume.
And can I just ask the panel as a whole, is that 50 to 60% that are walk-ins, is that consistent across all your markets? And AJ in particular, is that true of Germany as well?
We don't have the exact figures, but that doesn't sound unreasonable at all, that the leads that you see from Mobile, there's an equal number of people who are actually walking in, and that's often understates what online marketplaces are delivering for dealerships. But at the same time, walk-in leads are very, very important, but it's also important that you know as a dealer where does the lead come from, so you can calculate a reasonable cost of acquisition. Otherwise, you are misinformed about the cost of acquisition because there's a very large number of people who are walking in because they saw the ad on Mobile and they saw your dealership name and then they walk in.
Brilliant. So, just coming back for a moment to Ian. Paul talked in his session about VDPs being the thing that's most important to optimize. Would you agree with that in terms of what a dealer should be trying to do? Is it VDPs or is it lead generation or something else they should be trying to optimize?
Well, no,
to?
VDPs, the quality of them, like as I was saying, that's what generates the leads. So yeah, that is the fundamental focus. There is an opportunity in most platforms to boost your visibility with a prominence solution of one sort or another. We usually have that opportunity. But there's no point paying prominence if the advert quality isn't good to start with. Otherwise, you're just spending money to push something up the list. It's a bit like the hotel. It's now the top one on the ranking of Booking.com page when you go onto it, but it just doesn't look great, so you go straight to the next one. There's no point. But that can be a useful thing to do when you've got a car that's overaging. You might boost the visibility, boost the leads by implementing that kind of targeted strategy to enhance the visibility of a product that really needs a bit of extra help. And it's much more effective to spend a bit of money. This sounds like I'm selling something to you. I'm not. It's much more effective to spend a bit of money on those prominent solutions than to take 1,000 euros off the price of a car or 500 euros off the price of a car. That is not a good way to get a strong return on investment. So fundamentally, the VDP drives everything else, but there are other solutions to boost your performance. What we would always recommend, though, I mentioned a couple of data sources like retail rating on the car, the pricing metrics of the car. We have performance rating about how hard the advert is working for you. So we can tell you whether your advertising quality is good. We can tell you whether it's worth buying prominence on that car and so on. So that is what you should use. The data is what you should use to inform your decision making to enhance your performance.
Okay. So AJ, maybe I can turn to you and metrics. So precisely that point. If you're looking at this from a dealer perspective, what are the most important metrics and what should they expect to get in terms of conversion and so on out of the business?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I talked about in the keynote this morning is speed, which is related to eventually what metrics you're chasing. So I was listening when I was backstage to Paul as well, and he was mentioning how important that first 1 minute is. And when I turned that hourglass, that minute, that is really, really important. We often, unfortunately, in Germany, sometimes talk about hours to respond. We shouldn't be talking hours or days. We should be talking minutes to respond, right? So if we can get this minutes to respond right, in my view, the best-in-class dealers convert 1 in 2 leads. And that's the sort of ratio that we should be aspiring to, rather than 1 in 10 that I still hear, or 1 in 15. They are really out there, those ratios. We should really be looking at something significantly better than that. I can tell you some marketplaces around the world average 1 in 3.5. That's not a bad number to sort of look at from an average perspective across the marketplaces with the experience that I've had in different marketplaces around the world.
So 1 in 3.5 is best, or?
No, that's sort of the average.
Yeah.
The best is closer to 1 in 2, 1 in 1.5.
Really that high?
And then if you're starting to see 1 in 10, that's actually a laggard in the market. The German figures are a little bit different, but I would say that we should be the benchmark in the world. That's what Made in Germany is about, being the benchmark. It's not just about making machines, as I said this morning. Speed is really important. Germany needs to move towards speed, and dealerships need to move towards speed. So that what Paul said, answer your emails in that first 1 minute, or in the first few minutes. That's probably the number one tip I'd have for you. But also be relevant and personable in that response.
Okay, so we've got as metrics speed, VDPs. Anybody have any other really key metrics that from a lead gen perspective they should be looking at?
Speed is, I think, the most important, as AJ was saying. If I look into the Central European market or even the South African market, it's sort of the same. And we're talking a lot about leads and lead quality, but ultimately, and Paul and AJ have made a comment, if you don't respond, what is it worth? And I can give you also other examples, like on the financial side. You think about lease, people that are not getting an answer by the first hour, 50% of conversion is just gone. This is something that clearly is something to be stated. I think speed sounds like something very odd. It is not. It is the core of it. I was saying to Paul before, it's like politeness. There's a customer out there. They want something. They're driving to you, or they are basically talking to you, and you don't respond. How do you believe would you feel? And that's exactly what why this metrics is so important, because there's so much things attached to it. You can buy yourself prominence and dominance as much as you want. If you don't respond, that prominence, dominance will even turn against you.
It's interesting, we're here in the tech channel, in the tech presentation room, but actually I'm not hearing anything yet about tech in any sense. Yeah. Speed is something that doesn't necessarily require tech, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it increasingly will require tech to do it with precision, and because if dealerships don't open in Germany on Sundays, but if there is a our website and our app is 24/7. So how do you get someone to respond on a Sunday when the dealerships are actually not open? This is where tech is important, and this is where implementation of AI solutions, which certainly Mobile will support you with, increasingly so, is very, very important. And so I think this does go into tech.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, just to add, I think a lot of the inquiries that are happening basically on the existing ad. So there's a lot of things where bots, AI can help just to respond to that question. So there's a lot of things that you can automate over time, and that's where we're supposed to help, which again goes also around the lead quality, and they help on what is the right price, what is the right forecourt. But those are elements that I think that are core to your and our business.
Yeah, we jumped over it a bit. I think ad quality is something we should discuss a little bit.
Exactly. I think leads start with ads. So David, maybe you could kind of tell us what makes a really good ad, and what do you do to optimize your lead delivery out of the ad?
Exactly, and it's a good question. There's some ad quality indicators like the description, the imagery, the full information on the service history, but also the seller trust that we see as important. So ideally you have high quality imagery, you have sort of an honest and detailed description of the car. It varies between a combustion engine car and an EV, of course, that you need to have different information on battery health or range, for example. So these indicators are quite important. And then also seller trust can be through dealer ratings or seller ratings on the platform that we see functioning much better in terms of the lead quality that we have at the end of the day. And just to shoot a number also from the Nordics, so for us it's sort of, we can say that 1 out of 5 leads result in a sale. Talking about the leads that come from the marketplace side. Yeah. Whereas sort of for now at least telephone and email is still sort of the channels that are most preferred. We talked about walk-ins, of course, that's a different game. But yeah, ad quality is quite important, and I think looking forward in terms of what can search also do in terms of semantic search and like looking more for intent and not just keywords, it will get even better. So
is it all the detail you want, or is it specific selected detail that is the right detail to generate a good lead?
I would say it's selected details that in the end create a good lead. It's very much depending on the item as well. So if it's an EV or it's a new car, is it a used car, you need to select the right criteria for that, and that really creates the quality of the ad at the end of the day.
So it's not, sorry, Ian, yeah.
But I'd just like to sort of complement what David was saying. I think the thing that consumers are looking for is trust and transparency in the way you work with them. You can build the trust. So they're looking at lots of cars on a platform like Mobile or Marktplaats, etc. And they want to believe that the car is the right one, and they want to believe that the price is the right one, and they want to believe it's the right retailer. And you need to give them the reasons to believe that it's the right choice. So you need to build trust in the fact that the car is good, that the price is good, that the retailer service is good, and then they will engage. All the little details, I'm sure all of us have lots of metrics we can give to you to build that, but think of yourself as a consumer in buying another product. You want to believe, you want to have trust, and if you do, you'll go and buy. And I just go back to quickly on the speed point as well. We're seeing 2 different types of thing happening in the UK. So typically 1 in 5 is a similar number of lead conversion we see across all leads. The conversion rate of a walk-in is higher because they're really keen. They've come specifically to look at the car that they're very keen to buy, and they want to walk out with it or go home and confirm the order very, very soon afterwards. But the speed point on AI is where I think most people will be playing an active role in the future. So like AJ said, we're closed on Sundays sometimes, we're closed in evenings most of the time. Yeah, hopefully we're asleep at night, but a lot of people are looking at your cars all the time. We're seeing a lot of people engaging in those sort of time zones, and you need to be able to respond to them. Even during the middle of the day, not every retailer is responding very fast. So if you're in a bigger group, you're probably really well off doing an AI solution to do the first level response to all incoming inquiries through chat, email, and so on. Obviously, not so easy via telephone, but all of those ones are probably the ones that the salespeople prefer to deal with. The bigger groups, AI is definitely the way to go. What we find with the smaller independents who are just selling used cars and maybe have 20 used cars, they run their business very, very closely. Yeah. They link their email to their phone, and they have maybe an alert that will ping on their phone, and at just about any time of the evening, they will answer that email, and they will come back to the customer. So a small player is just really close to their business. If you're in a big group, it's a bit more of a corporate culture, so you need an AI solution. But speed really is, I do agree, the right answer to how to improve your lead conversion rate, but it's maybe delivered in different ways depending on the group.
And can I, on the ad quality question, I mean, you've got an interesting piece of AI technology, Co-Driver in the UK, that creates ads for dealers, and you've had it for what, 6 months? No, longer than that now.
A bit more than that. Nearly 2 years we've had a tool called Co-Driver. Yeah, and it basically, Co-Driver, it writes the copy for you. So again, if you think of the AI solution, for the first level of response to a consumer, it's something that a lot of salespeople don't do that well. They don't write that brilliantly, but they're really good at engaging with the customer and speaking to them and face-to-face or on the phone. So that's taking away a job that they don't particularly like and they don't do particularly well. Now, broad brush again, many retailers don't particularly like writing the copy on the ad and putting it on Autotrader. And our ads also feed back into many retailer websites or brand websites, so it's the same copy that will be seen everywhere. So when you've got the specification known of the vehicle, which is either linked to the registration number of the car or the VIN number of the car, we know from our data exactly what's on the car. We get VIN data from the manufacturers, so all you have to do is put that in, and it will populate the copy for you. You can change it. You can ask it to add some specifics around your group and your retailer to make it a little bit more personal. But that means you save time, and you take away a job you don't do particularly well, and you don't particularly enjoy. And you can focus your time as a retailer on the things that really do make a difference, where only you can really do it, which is taking the images of the car, doing a video walk around. The AI, again, checks that you've taken all the right images, you've put them in the best order for that type of car. The first image that the consumer sees on the search view is the right one for that type of car. It reminds you if you've missed a few. So it's just a way of enhancing the personal touch, not taking away the retailer personal touch, but taking away the stuff that takes up time, is a bit clunky, giving a better consumer experience, getting a better response for your ads, and allowing you to focus on the things that also get a better response, like the imagery.
And that's proven, is it, that the AI gives a better response?
Yes.
It is, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've got the same...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we started it probably, 6-9 months ago. I would suggest that basically conversion has become better by 7% on those specific ads. So that's absolutely, because it's just better curated. It's the way you show the car, the way it's described. Sometimes, depending on what sort of consumer you may have, if you understand better the intent, that's also something that goes into the lead. But if you think about the overall description, that's something that is absolutely helping and converting.
And AJ, do you have that now in Germany?
We also have automatic descriptions as well, just like the rest of the folks. And it's again very, very useful. But one of the other comments I wanted to also make is, while we were talking about leads, and I mentioned this morning as well, sometimes I hear it's a good lead, it's a bad lead. In my definition, we should stop thinking good leads and bad leads, because what that conversation does is it leads to us having an excuse to not respond. And that when you don't respond, it's a bad consumer experience. It leaves a bad taste for the consumer about your dealership, about your response times, about how much you respect that consumer or not on behalf of your dealership. So I would say we have to stop thinking good leads and bad leads. We have to start thinking about, okay, when will this lead convert? Is it going to convert today? Is it going to convert in 1 week, in 1 month, in 3 years, or 5 years? And then decide, and maybe take technology's help to decide, does this go into my CRM system? Does this go, and do I respond to this on a Sunday with this AI lead to start the negotiation process, so when I turn up on a Monday, it's ready to convert? The other benefit of doing this approach is, especially through technology is very good at following process. So you might have 10 salespeople in your dealership and 7 follow the process and 3 don't. technology will always follow the process. So you can have consistency in how you deliver responses to your customers. You will always need the human touch at the end, but using technology right at the start to get them to a stage where they're really close to conversion is the job. And also not disrespecting the fact that someone might convert in 3 months or 3 years. Technology doesn't care. It will follow the process. It will respect the customer just as much if they will convert in 3 years, whether they will convert in 3 minutes. But the human might have bias towards the 3 minutes.
So, Paul, with your dealer hat on, would you ever throw away a lead? Is there ever a lead that you just look at and you say,
No,
well,
never.
It's
no,
not.
never. No,
So every lead should be dealt with.
the leads are too expensive and they are too valuable. And I'm a dealer to be out in the market. I advertise for leads, so I have to process the leads. But I'm not a salesperson which everybody knows, who knows from 100 meters away that's a good lead and a bad lead. That will never happen. So I will never throw away a lead. But to process them, they will buy a car in 1 day or in 1 year. That's the beauty of the beast. But to emphasize on ad quality, just a minute, to be better at ad quality, and everybody is searching for Apple CarPlay, put a photo of Apple CarPlay in the first 6 pictures. It will make a difference. It will actually make a difference.
Okay, so you said earlier, moving on to kind of process, you said it's never about the quality of lead, but always about the quality of the lead follow-up process. So is there a perfect lead management process? Or if there isn't a perfect lead management process, what are the 2 or 3 really critical things that have to be part of it?
The best process is actually the process which is executed every day the same. So I can say you have to call 6 times in a row, or 10 times, or 2 times. But most of the dealers, we did a CX survey in the Netherlands and in Belgium, of the top 20 dealer holdings, big dealer holdings with billions of revenue, and there's no dealer whatsoever who is calling 3 times. None. So there's a lot of gains, but you need a process. If your process is 2 times calling, 2 times WhatsApp, all mean, but do it every day. But Monday is different than Tuesday, Tuesday is different than Wednesday, and the lead quality of this one is, so it's all over the place. So the one you are going to define is you have to execute on that one. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Can I just give a slightly different view on the lead quality point? So we work with all the OEMs in the UK as well. And there is a view in the OEM world where often they want to drive lead volume, ideally into their own website or to their retailers. And they will generate leads from affiliates, a very low quality point. Now, I'm getting into the trap now of judging the quality of a lead.
Yes.
But I think you as retailers, those in the audience who are retailers, buying leads, well, spending money with marketplaces that generate leads, you know some places are better than others as a general impression.
Yeah.
You know that then those leads come into your system and you deal with them. But the risk is sometimes there are people in this world, OEMs in particular, who generate leads almost for the sake of it because it's a KPI they want to hit, irrespective of the quality. And what we try to do is drive them towards thinking about the return on investment from the point of view of the cost per sale rather than just the cost per lead, which is what you'd all want to get to if you're running your businesses very effectively. You want to be able to judge all your partners on how well they generate sales for you, which is partly down to the partner and partly down to yourself in your conversion rates and so on, how good you are. But manufacturers do this because they like to be able to compare one market to another one, and they can't necessarily understand the differences between Autotrader in the UK and Mobile in Germany. They can work on Meta and Google and compare volumes of leads from one market to another one. It's a crazy system where they drive an inefficiency themselves. So I'd just be wary of us every time thinking that every single lead is the same. There are sources of leads that are going to be better than others.
So I guess that begs the question for marketplaces. I mean, do any of you do stuff that actually reduces the volume of leads but improves the quality of them?
I would not say reducing because again, the amount of leads is the most important. The question is how can you contribute to be more efficient on the dealer side in terms of basically give an idea around the quality, and then that where if you understand the consumer intent If you come from the AI side and you understand the underlying data and you start to basically to cluster, then you can do, I don't know, hot, warm, cold leads, and because this gives you also in the structure, in the process, an opportunity to assess, okay, maybe I have salespeople that are stronger on the hots, some are better in the colds, but you're addressing all the needs within the market and you're addressing all the needs of the consumers. That's a way, that's basically what we are working on to help the dealers to better assess, which is something that is existing in real estate already for many, many years. Because that's a problem that is even higher because the amount of leads they're getting is higher.
So I guess that begs the question, do you all prioritize leads for your customers? And Paul, when you get a lead in, do you prioritize it? Or do you just treat everyone the same and deal with them all as fast as you can?
For the sake of the pilot, I'm now doing a Facebook lead campaign because the KPI is leads. So it's very easy to get leads on Facebook. But I will never throw them in my own process by lead handling because it's too much work for too less effort. Because of course there is a benchmark of quality of leads, but leads from portals, third-party websites, are not a joke, are serious leads. You have to process them equally. So the Facebook leads I'm doing by virtual assistants, all by AI, and if somebody's going through the whole process, I will give it to a real sales agent. But otherwise, I will do the virtual assistant.
Okay.
To answer your point around quality of leads and so on, I think there's a good answer to give around what we're doing to try and enhance the conversion rate of a lead without reducing the volume of leads. So in the UK, we just recently launched a product called Deal Builder, which basically is a concept which allows the consumer to go further in their buying journey. Okay, so typically in the research we do in the UK, we see that very, very few people want to buy a car fully online. Also, 95% of people want to visit a dealer when they're buying their car for different things. They enjoy they need to touch, smell, drive the car. They want advice, and they generally like the experience, at least at the very end of the journey when they're taking hold of the car. They love that bit. It might be frustrating sometimes during the journey, but they like the retailer bit. But what they also want, we as consumers of many things want, is a lot of the flexibility, transparency, control, and time friendliness of doing things digitally. So also most customers, along with those things I just mentioned, most customers in the UK want to do most of their car buying jobs, all the little things you've got to do, there's about 30 of them, digitally. Not all of them do, but most of them want to do them digitally, in different orders, to different degrees. And so what we're trying to do is enable that so that you can build your deal. You choose the car you'd like, you then part exchange, measure the value of your part exchange on our site, you put that value against the cost of the car you want to buy, you then maybe do a finance simulation, maybe you do a hard application through the finance pipes of the lenders that the retailer wants to work with. We've got those APIs with all those lenders, and that puts the deal through into that lender as well as to the retailer. Basically, then you can reserve a vehicle for £99. So you can do all of those things, or none of them, or you can just still carry on walking to the retailer. When you do all of those things, you're basically providing a lead to a retailer in the form of a deal, more or less completed. You've gone further down the funnel, if you like, to try and engage in a way that suits you towards getting to the point when you start to engage with the retailer. The retailer can then pick up where you've left off without you wasting any time, and you can then hopefully buy the vehicle. Now, when people reserve, 85% of them don't go and reserve anything else. They don't look at anything else. They turn up. The majority of them then buy the car at the price it was advertised, and the conversion rate of those leads is more than 50% overall, and for the top performers, it's 80%. So that's way higher than the 1 in 3.5 or the 1 in 5 I was talking about for normal leads. So you've given the consumer more ability to control their buying experience up front, but still make sure that it connects really efficiently into your retail experience further down the road. So that's the journey we're trying to roll out right now in the UK. We have about 6,000 of our 14,000 retailers using that product. It's a change, so change will be easier for some people than others, but it's proving a lot of value just now, both to the consumer and to the retailer.
And you see that as the way that all marketplaces are going to go in time?
I think it's very likely that that's going to be the way that many consumers will want to buy cars. But like I said, not everybody will. So the marketplace, yes, will want to make sure that's ideally a consistent experience the consumers can find, just like they can find a button on an ad to be able to click to find the map and then go put that in their Waze or the Google Maps to go there, or a click to call. It'll be a click to reserve after maybe they've done some of those steps or none of them, but they then want to turn up at that retailer and buy that car. It's just the way we buy things generally online. So if cars can be easier to buy, our supposition is that we can make the market actually transact quicker and therefore grow its overall value. So hopefully we grow value for all our partners by doing so.
So we're down to 6 minutes on the clock, so I'm going to skip a few things and go straight to AI, given it's the big topic. So Christian, AI features big time in every product conversation, specification at the moment, etc. Is it genuinely going to lift lead intelligence to a new level? And clearly marketplaces have been early adopters of AI. Are you seeing yourself the application of generative AI improving lead quality and lead volume coming out of your marketplaces?
Yes, it does. I mean, generative AI, it's a follow-up of the large language models, and ultimately it's the understanding of the underlying data that we're generating. And if we're able to better categorize cluster, if we better understand the intent, ultimately that's going to help the overall business. Because then you can better address what the person really needs, whether it's around the deal builder and so on and so forth. And that's the reason why we see around, especially if you think about the lead quality, the hot, warm, cold, and so on, that's something which helps a lot also in the efficiency of how the transaction. That's something that I believe is super important, and it is something that will certainly elevate, let's say, the quality of the market overall over time.
And do you think there's something that marketplaces can bring to the AI kind of products that isn't available kind of, in third-party products in the market?
Sure. What I always say is what we should not give away. And I think Zillow is a good example. We should always keep the data we have, because this is ultimately our jewel. The inventory you can scrape everywhere. That's nothing that's available. The data, the underlying data that we have, the understanding of the intent, all of this is super important. And if we're able to basically nurture this is what makes us so strong, and which also helps us to deliver better results than everybody else would be able to deliver.
Okay. And David, you look like you're...
Yeah, I would maybe add that, the workflows that we as marketplaces own are the ones we should probably focus on first. One thing that we're doing right now is we're building a new pro tool. So basically an ad management tool that includes lead management and insight services. And we're prioritized ad optimization as the first agentic case, where we really work with different input factors to try to come, leveraging an LLM and then bringing an output that's really in recommendation and help for the dealers. So those are the things that we're prioritizing at the moment.
Okay, so one final question for AJ. I've seen a lot of conflicting reports on what AI might do to shopping in general, what chatbots are doing, etc., how it's going to affect Google search. Will it make it harder to reach customers? Do you think that AI is going to make it harder for dealers to get the leads they need, or do you think it's going to make it easier for dealers to get the leads they need?
Here's the thing, right? That at the end of the day, today we have this search giant called Google, and Google is ever dominant in search, and they control the browser as well, Chrome, right? So everything goes through Google today. And they do a good job. They're a source of leads to dealers too. Marketplaces, of course, are the vast majority of the source, but so is Google. It's also a source. Tomorrow, it will be some sort of ChatGPT style replacement of Google that will also be a source. And so will marketplaces be. And marketplaces will absolutely specialize in this experience with AI. That's where marketplaces are going to be different to the likes of ChatGPT, et cetera, right? So it's no different to Google and mobile today, and maybe ChatGPT and mobile tomorrow. So yes, there will be complexity to manage, but the whole goal of marketplaces is we help you manage this complexity, and we make this complexity sort of in the background for you, and we handle it all, and we give you that final product. And I actually really am positive on the tailwinds of AI for mobility, but also importantly for our dealers. I think this is a huge positive, because imagine a world tomorrow where listings go up on mobility instantly and precisely. Imagine a world where we respond to leads on Sunday afternoon or at 12 a.m. on Sunday. Imagine a world where on Sunday the chatbot asks the consumer, or maybe the dealer has set up to 300 euros of negotiation ability for the chatbot, and the chatbot tries to negotiate up to 300. Once it gets to 300, it says, now I have to ask the boss. The old trick, right? But the chatbot does this, and on Monday morning, you have a highly qualified lead that you convert. I could just go on and on about how Mobile will become an agentic marketplace rather than just the marketplace that is today. And what will that do? That is going to help dealers. That's the number one goal.
Well, I was going to sum up, but I don't think I need to anymore. And we've got 50 seconds left. I do want to just check. Have we got any questions from the audience that you'd like to ask? Because if not, I'll just ask the panel if anybody else has any comment to make on AI, or should we wrap it and give 49 seconds back to the audience? Paul.
I have one. So at Marktplaats, we are using our virtual assistant to follow up leads. And you see over the last 2 years how good it became. I actually wrote the prompt myself now to work the AI. And it's what Adrian was saying. You are getting a qualified lead on steroids on Monday morning. You only have to go further in that journey. But all questions which you can actually answer, already answered. And that's the beauty of the thing. On one basis, yes, the salesperson is always better. On 100 leads, the AI will beat your ass.
Yeah. It's interesting. My sum up would be simply, from what I see, this is going to be a very transformational technology for lead intelligence, lead management. And I think we're already beginning to see some of that. And we're still in the very earliest days of it. So thank you all for a deeply informative session. And till next year, maybe.
Thank you.
Thank you.